His wife criticized him at every single turn. She was the ultimate backseat driver, the worst co-pilot you could ever want, constantly on his back, giving him directions, telling him he was going the wrong way, telling him he was going too fast, too slow. She just hated everything about the way he was driving. This went on for years, this criticism, this judgment, this constant nagging. And he finally said, screw it, you drive. And from that point forward, she took the wheel. Now, if I was making a movie about their marriage, this would be the moment of foreshadowing right here. Because this is the moment when his marriage came to an end. He did not realize it then, and it took 5 years for it to finally come to full fruition. But it was at that moment when he metaphorically turned over the wheel to her that everything went to shit. So today, I want to talk to you guys about why relationships turn to shit. Why everything we've been told about what we should do and how we should treat women inevitably sabotages us and causes us to make decisions that we think in the moment are in everyone's best interest, but actually turn out to be the thing that trips us up, the thing that causes the demise of our relationship. This is Life 2.0. Let's talk about it. Imagine for a moment that you're sailing a ship across the Pacific, like one of those big giant sailboats you see on YouTube so often. And these cute couples are out there going to survive the Pacific Ocean. And your sweetie says, hey, do you mind if I take the wheel for a bit? And after thinking about it, you go, why not? It's a beautiful sunny day. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? So you say, yeah, go ahead, babe. You drive for a bit. And she takes the helm, and she's standing there, smiling, looking so happy on the outside. But on the inside, there's a part of her that's thinking, what the fuck am I doing behind the wheel of this boat? I have no idea what I am doing. Because you see, her asking if she can take the helm is a test. She wants to know if you've got the balls to protect her from her worst enemy, and that is herself. Her ability to make really, really bad decisions. The last thing that a woman really wants deep down inside is to be in control of the relationship. But we men believe that when they ask, that we're creating space, that we're being equanimous. Is that a word? We're buying into the whole equality thing. We're like, of course you can have control. Why wouldn't I trust you, the person that I love more than anyone in the world? Why wouldn't I completely turn over all of my my assets, all of my treasured secrets, everything, just turn them all over to you and let you guide the ship. Let you be the person that decides where this relationship is going. So women will tell you this is what they want. They will tell you that they feel like they can handle this. And of course, a lot of this comes from feminism, pumping this crap into women's minds that they are the same as men. But there's an incredibly important difference. Let me couch this just for a second. I'm going to back off just a second. So there are some women who can fill roles of men. There are some UFC female fighters, and I would not want to get into the ring with any of them. You know what I mean? But they are the anomaly. They are not the average woman. There are some women who would be super fighter pilots. Again, you know, this is an elite, small percentage of women. This is not something that most women can do. Soldiers on the front line, all that stuff. Women in leadership roles. The reason why there are not more women in leadership roles is because leadership roles and women are not in alignment most of the time. Now, there are times when they are. There are times when some women can do it and do it really well. But on average, This is not something that women thrive at. But for whatever reason, feminism has pumped this idea not only into their minds, but into our minds, that they can do it, and any one of them can do it. If one can do it, they can all do it. And so putting them into a leadership role in your relationship is a sure way to end your relationship. I got a first-hand lesson in this experience a long, long time ago, long before I even realized what I was observing. I had taken my daughter to Target, and I don't want to give away too much information here, but she used to dress like a princess. Like, she had all the tiara and the taffeta and the shoes, and she was all made up. She was just a princess. Like, she just walked out of Disney World. I mean, it was unreal. She dressed like this all the time. You know, and we thought it was cute. We thought it was cute, but it was probably not healthy. You know, it was not a healthy presentation. Anyway, so we're at Target, and of course, as luck would have it, we walk by the toy department, and she goes down that aisle, you know, and she grabs some piece of crap toy that she wants, and I just say no. And I could tell there was something going on in her little brain. I could tell that she was trying to process exactly what her next move was going to be. It was like the wheels were turning. And then I saw her face slowly scrunch up and start to crocodile tears cry. You know what I mean? Like, she was pretending to cry. She was making noise, and she was scrunching up her face like she was crying, but there were no tears coming out. Like, she was acting out crying. She was acting out crying, the whole thing. And I just stood there and watched. And this went on for like a minute or two, and she's escalating it. And she looked up at me midway through this process and saw that I wasn't budging. I was still just standing there, just kind of looking at her, half smiling, I think, because I could see what she was doing. And then when she noticed that I wasn't changing my mind, or I wasn't grabbing the toy or whatever, I wasn't reacting to her behavior, she took it up a notch. I mean, the octave went higher, the volume went up, the screaming went up. I'm surprised we didn't have security there. You know what I mean? Because it sounded like she was being killed. It really did. It sounded like someone was killing her. Eventually, I just picked her up and we left, you know, and she was fine in the car, you know. I told her, I said, look, when I say no, I mean no. That's all there is to it. This is the lesson that I should have taken forward into my relationship. I should have applied this to all relationships with all women. Because the truth of the matter is, that magic word, no, is the critical element that's required for a man to maintain not only his boundaries, but his leadership role in the relationship. Too oftentimes, men will say yes, either because A, we're lazy and we just don't want to deal with the issue, whatever it may be in that moment, or B, we think we're trying to be the good guy. We're trying to be the guy that women like. We don't want to be the bad guy. We don't want to be the ogre. We don't want to be part of the patriarchy, God forbid. You know, we want to be the guy that all the girls, all the women say, yeah, he's such a good guy. He's such a good guy. Well, that good guyness is going to result in your relationships all failing. Because the minute you give in, and I'm not saying you don't say yes to stuff, I'm just saying that when you start to compromise on your values and what you know is right, and you let people cross your boundaries, well, then you have lost yourself. You become part of the problem. You become the cause of the problem. Yes, women are going to behave the way women behave, but it's the way we respond to them that determines the outcome of our relationships. You know, because we live in the era of microwave ovens and jet airplanes and, you know, porn, we think that everything has always been like this, you know, that there has always been a police force, that there has always been laws, that there have always been ways of enforcing our values on society, that women had some level of protection, and they didn't for the vast majority of humanity. I think that recently some scientists found some bones that go back over 300,000 years, that there were humanoids. They used to think we were only around for 50,000, then it was 100,000. Now they're taking it back over 300,000 years, where they found a skull of a human from over 300,000 years ago. That's a long time. That's a very long time. The last 50 or 60 years, in comparison to that is 0.00005%. You know what I mean? It's such a tiny, tiny little sliver. Civilization has only been around for about 6,000 years, to the best of our knowledge, you know? Still, just a sliver of that 300,000. So, women are weaker physically than men, and they always have been. They have always been, to some degree, dependent on men to protect and provide for them. Period. That has always been the way it is. This is not patriarchy. This is not, you know, toxic masculinity. This is not misogyny. This is history. This is anthropology. This is the way things have always been. It's always been like that. So down deep inside, in our DNA, at the most primal levels of our consciousness, there is a survival instinct that is always working. It is always on. Just like with the dogs, just like with the wild animals out in the forest, that survival instinct is always working. It's always looking for threats, always looking for potential problems. We're always scanning the horizon for things that might go wrong. Women, modern women, are doing the same thing every day. They're watching to see if you are going to be the kind of man that can provide and protect for them all the time. And as part of that, they need to know that you are not going to abandon your role as provider and protector by turning over the wheel to her, because she doesn't trust herself to do what needs to be done. She knows that she's smaller, she's weaker, and she is not as capable as you in many, many, many ways. And if she is going to trust that you are going to take care of her and potentially her young, she wants to know that you are going to make good decisions. And if she bats her eyes at you or drops a few tears and you give her control in your relationship, then you are betraying that role of the leader in this relationship. And the minute you betray that role, you have triggered something in her, because now she, that primal, fundamental process in her brain is thinking, uh-oh, now I'm in charge. Now what happens? Every woman I've ever had an in-depth relationship with has shared some of the internal workings of their brains with me and how they feel, especially under stressful circumstances when things get really tough in their lives. It started off when I was in high school with my high school sweetheart. We dated for a couple of years. You know, we had a very intense, intimate relationship. It was my first getting to know women kind of experience. I mean, I had kissed girls, touched girls, done all that fun stuff when I was a teenager. But she was the first young woman, she was 17 when we met, that really kind of let me into her world. And every woman since her have reaffirmed these concepts in my mind. There's chaos in their heads. They know there's chaos in their heads. They realize that when their menstrual cycle hits, that they lose control of their emotions, that they can become unpredictable. They know that on some deep level that they don't trust themselves under lots of different circumstances. They have a really, really hard time trusting themselves. This is like the inferiority complex I mentioned before. It's there deep within them. Now, this is not something that they consciously think of. They're not having these thoughts all the time. They do sometimes. They do face that chaos in their lives from time to time. And I've been told by almost every single woman, like, I wish I could let you get inside my head just for a moment so you could see what it's like. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be in there. I don't want to know what it's like. It sounds like a terrible place. Do not want to be in that life, in that brain of yours. I don't want to hear all those conflicting thoughts going on all the time. But almost every single woman has that experience of chaos in her head. And so at some deep primal level, she does not trust herself. She knows about the hormone swings, she knows about the chaos, she knows that she has a really difficult time focusing from time to time, and then you layer that on with the fact that she's physically not as strong, that leadership is not something that comes naturally to her, and you have created the perfect mixture, the perfect formula for a test. Because she knows that she needs you to be the leader in this relationship. She knows that she needs you to be the leader. But she's going to test you to see if you actually can lead. Now, in today's, feminist world, where Women are telling each other that they can all do anything that they want, they can all have it all, they can be anything that a man can be, that it's just, we're all just interchangeable parts in a giant machine. It doesn't matter whether it's male or female, that we can all do each other's jobs. This is such bullshit, and it's corrosive to our society because it steals not only from men but also from women. By trying to remove those things that make us unique as a gender and then as individuals is just completely screwy. The fundamental underlying formula between men and women, what makes a man and what makes a woman, the hormones, the chemicals, the physical stature, the brain development, all of it is so different that we are almost different species in many ways, even though 99% of our DNA is very similar or the same. Here's the difference though. 300,000 years of evolution have forced men to take that leadership role, and women have fallen into a comfort zone when a man is in that zone. Feminism has told women that they need to take a leadership role, not only in relationships, but in all areas of their lives. This makes them extremely uncomfortable. This adds a layer of stress that they're not accustomed to. And when you add all the other chaos and all the other stresses that go along with being a woman, raising children, the menstrual cycles, the PMS, the menopause, all of the physiological things that we men don't have to deal with, that they have to deal with, that causes their brains to, experience chaos. And then you put them in a leadership role on top of it, where now they're psychologically believing that it's up to them to make sure that everything works, that the relationship works. You've given them the wheel, you've handed over the helm. You've said, okay, now baby, you get us to wherever we're going. You're in charge. Yeah, you have just created the perfect environment for your divorce, because she cannot stand that. She cannot stand that. Modern society, the internet, social media have provided women with a whole nother set of chaotic circumstances they need to deal with. Another fear, if you will, that is existential. I mean, it's just as fearful as, the bear at the cave, where they're going to tear her apart. And she needs you to stand between the bear and her. And that's fear of missing out. And this, you may think, John, that sounds stupid. That's a meme. Why would fear of missing out be such a significant factor in a woman's life? Well, you have to see it from an existential, from an existence level. She is observing other people's lives that are apparently going much better than hers. And so, as a human being who is living her life and hoping to live a fulfilling, meaningful life, because as far as we know, we only get one life, and of course, all spirituality and religion are basically out the window these days. So the only life you get is this one, and so you would better make it a good one. And they're seeing other people living better than them, it becomes existential to her. Like she's not living the life that she should be living. She's not getting what she deserves. She's not living the life that she has to live. And so her chaotic brain, with all those hormones flowing, is thinking, I need that. I need that trip to Paris. I need to go to Bali. I need that dress. I need that handbag. I need to drive that car. I need to live in that neighborhood. I need. And this craziness that's going on, this chaos that's going on in her head is running 24/7 because she's being confronted with all of these images all the time. Even if she doesn't recognize that it's happening in the moment, at a subconscious level, it's happening all the time. I think it happens to men too. I think there's lots and lots of men who fall into the same trap. It's not just women that fall into this, but men do too. They think that this is existential. They think that all this crap that's going on in the world that someone else is experiencing in some way threatens their ability to have a fulfilling life. And of course, that is just not true. But for women, it is a much more significant threat. And what a woman needs from a man in a relationship is the belief, is the reassurance, is the opportunity to feel safe and fulfilled in her own life. That's what a man in a solid leadership role who is expressing healthy masculinity can provide to a woman that a woman cannot provide to herself. That's it in a nutshell. Being able to provide this, being able to be that man, is not something that men today have been taught. because today's men have been taught by feminists, by women, by what it means that they think on the surface that women want, that what girls want. You know, the way we should be treating them, the way we should be giving them stuff, the way we should be seducing them, the way we should be trying to facilitate their every desire and need in order for them to be happy. And all that information appears to be correct on one level, on the surface, but underneath, where things really matter, where the actual workings of the female engine occur, that's exactly the opposite of what you should be doing. When you give in, when you start coughing up all of her needs for fear of missing out to satisfy that, what you're doing is you're just feeding a monster that's just going to want more and more and more. And eventually, she's going to exhaust your ability to give. And the frustration from her at a very deep level is that she's not going to feel any more fulfillment from any of these things. Like, she cannot be fulfilled by them because they are not in and of themselves fulfilling. None of the things that you can buy her, none of the trips that you can take her on, nothing is going to fulfill her. She's always going to want more. She's going to want the bigger house, the more expensive car, the better handbag. I mean, it's going to be one thing after another, after another, after another. And so you are going to be you're going to be the little hamster on the hedonic treadmill that's just keeping this thing spinning so that she can be happy. And it's never going to work. It's a fool's errand. You're never going to achieve anything. The only thing that you can do under these circumstances is say no, but do it in a way that makes her feel safe and loved. Good luck with that. It's hard. It's hard, but that's the only path you have forward to you. That's the only rational way that you can do this stuff. It's the only rational way that you can have a healthy relationship with a woman. There are 3 critical skills that every man needs in order to have a healthy, meaningful, successful relationship with a woman. First, leadership. But here's the trick, is you have to be able to lead without her feeling like she is being placed in a submissive position. So you need to lead from a place of generosity. Like, understanding that your leadership role is not one of dominance, it's not one of patriarchy, it's not one of control. It's a way of setting the agenda. Leadership is setting the agenda and creating the lifestyle that you're going to be experiencing, and setting the goals, helping to set the destination for where this organization, this relationship is going. These are the technical skills that are important in relationships. The next thing you're going to have is the ability to say no. And you're going to have to be able to say no without offending. Now, there are going to be times when you're going to say no, and just like with my daughter at Target, you're going to get a tantrum. You're going to get crying, you're going to get kicking and screaming and upsetness, and she's going to be angry with you, and she's going to be emotionally pissed. She's going to be pissed when you say no about something that she really, really wants. And you're going to have to hold your ground. You have to stand your ground, because if you give way under those circumstances, then she will know at a very deep subconscious level that she can control you, that she can up the ante by becoming more and more emotional, and she will be able to control you. And the minute she knows that she can control you is the minute that your relationship starts to die. That's where the foreshadowing from the movie begins. The movie about your divorce starts when you give in. That's what happens. And finally, you have to have strong boundaries. And I probably should have put this as number 2, but the boundaries are your values and things that you will not allow into your life. And let me be clear about what I mean about a boundary, is this is not about forcing someone else to behave in a particular way. This is about just making it clear what behaviors you're allowing into your life. And when someone crosses that line by behaving in ways that are not acceptable to you, then you just remove yourself from that relationship, from that situation. You just walk away. So if she crosses your boundaries repeatedly, then you must be willing to walk away. You must be willing to do that. If you don't, if she pushes you on your boundaries and you cave on your boundaries, again, it's weakness. And that weakness signals the end of the marriage, the end of the relationship. And I don't think most men understand just how significant giving in under these circumstances actually is, how it actually foreshadows the end of their marriage. Because if they knew this, they would stand their ground. They would understand that you need to be firm when it comes to certain issues. Now, you can't take everything in the world, every issue in the world, and turn it into, a fight or flight kind of situation. You need to be able to pick your fights, correctly. I mean, don't make it about stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, well, we're having pizza tonight. That's my fucking boundary, man. Like, no, that's not something you lay down the gauntlet for. That's not an issue that you die on that hill for. No. But, if she's spending way too much time going to, music festivals or bars with her friends and you don't feel comfortable with that, then maybe that becomes a boundary. You know what I mean? Or if she is belittling you or is treating you with disdain, she's starting to be cynical, or she's sarcastic, or you're feeling uncomfortable with the way she's communicating with you on certain issues, or criticism, her judgment is all just a little too much, then you need to inform her. You say, look, I don't allow that kind of behavior in my life. I can't allow you to talk to me that way. Like, you must treat me with respect. We can disagree, but you must be respectful, and I will be respectful of you, but I will not allow other people to treat me with no respect. And I think you have to remember that. And this is about responding to him and not reacting. Like, you can't be reactive. You can't fly off the handle. You can't be an asshole. You can't just lose your temper and say, that's my boundary. That's bullshit. That's you not being collected. That's not you being a good leader. You've got to be a good leader. You've got to have a level of equanimity in your approach, not necessarily in your solution. Does that make sense? Like, you need to be approaching her as an equal. As a leader, it's just your job to lead. It doesn't mean you're better than her. It just means that this is your role in the relationship. Does that make sense? I remember when I worked at my old job, I was a general manager, had 50 employees. I liked most of my employees. I was friends with them. We would go out and do stuff, had a good time. My job was to be the leader of that organization. It did not mean I was better than them. It just meant that I had more knowledge, more experience, and more skill sets that were appropriate for that job. Years earlier, I was a middle manager at a big insurance company, and I had to hire and fire new agents. I was friends with those guys because I was training them all the time. I was in there, helping them learn the ropes. I was their manager. Did not make me better than them. It just meant that my job was to make sure that they were able to do their job and to hold them accountable to the promises that they made in the contracts that they signed. That's it. That's it. It's not about being better than. It's not hierarchical. It's not hierarchical. At least not in every single set of circumstances. It's more like, this is my job, this is my role in the relationship, and this is how I need to carry it out. You have your job and your role in the relationship, and your job and your roles are your authority. You have complete authority over those things. Like, I don't think you need to fight her on every single thing. I think you just need to make sure that you are clear about the big picture falls to you, and you're not going to turn over the authority to make these big decisions to her. And if there are big decisions where it makes sense that the two of you be in on it together, then you have to take a leadership role and set the agenda for how the decisions are going to be made. You're not dictating, you're setting the agenda. And by setting the agenda, you're taking control. Does that make sense? Like, you take control by deciding what is going to be discussed, by deciding what the options are, by what directions are available to us. That's how you take control, not by saying, we're doing it this way. Because it may be that within those options, you don't really care which way you go. You know what I mean? So why make a stand on something that you don't really care about? But just narrow it down to the options that you're willing to accept. Does that make sense? I learned about boundaries through some girls that I dated after my divorce. I really started to understand it. I mean, there's one girl, she was crazy, and she told me she didn't want to have her picture taken, and that was a boundary of hers, which didn't make any sense to me. It's like, well, that's a boundary? That seems kind of stupid, but whatever. And I took her picture, and she got pissed off at me. But I realized, in reflection on that relationship, that I had boundaries. And she was crazy. Like, she would scream and yell at me and be really, really angry at me at times. And I told her that I had peace in my life, and I would not allow that kind of behavior. Like, that would not happen. And I told her 3 different times that I would not allow it. And when that 4th time came, and I told her that I would not allow this one more time. I said, one more time and this relationship is over. And when that 4th time happened and I ended the relationship, she screamed and cried. She would have made my daughter look like an amateur at Target that day. She screamed and cried. She was so angry at me for enforcing my own boundaries on her. And I made it very clear to her what I was not willing to put up with. She knew it, yet she did it anyway. She lost control. Probably because that's just who she was. That's just who she was. And yeah, and she was furious with me. I had to block her on my phones, you know. And I had this happen with another woman too. This woman was a federal agent with the FBI. Anyway, I told her, like, you know, it's all about peace. You know, from my perspective, a relationship has to be peaceful. I don't have time or energy for unnecessary drama. And when that unnecessary drama popped up repeatedly in our relationship, and I warned her and said, I'm not gonna have this, I just can't have it. And at the time, I wasn't even thinking this was a boundary. This was just a sensation that I had inside myself. I was like, I have a good life. It's peaceful, I enjoy it. I don't need some crazy ass woman in here making things, you know, all crazy. And she just didn't get it. And same thing happened. And when I broke up with her, she went off the deep end, you know, screaming and crying and throwing a fit. And this tantrum got to the point where it made me nervous. I started thinking that maybe she was gonna do some harm either to me or to herself. And we didn't even know each other that well. I didn't understand, the reaction was not commensurate with the depth of the relationship, at least not from my perspective. Anyway, again, had to block her on my phone so that she could not communicate with me ever again. Boundaries. This is how you establish your masculine frame, plain and simple. These are the pillars of what it means to be a man, is understanding what those boundaries are. And understanding that if a person repeatedly violates those boundaries, that relationship cannot exist. It just cannot exist. It's either you or her. That's what it boils down to. Either you're going to respect yourself or you're not. And when you allow someone to violate your boundaries repeatedly without, you know, I mean, I think like I gave them each 3 tries, like you get 3 swings, you know, and if you do it one more time, that's it, you're done, you're history. And I think, you know, that's the way you have to deal with it. Because if I had submitted, if I had allowed that, if I had just went along with it, if I had just said, oh, I'm sorry, honey, I won't do that again. You know, if I became all milly-mouthed about it and allowed her to take control in that moment, not only would my life have been miserable for whatever length of time that relationship continued on, but she would have been in control. And that control would have eventually been the demise of the relationship. Eventually, it would have come to a screeching halt because she would have gotten fed up with me as a weak man. That's what would have happened. So you've got to have your boundaries and you've got to respect them. You've got to stand by them, and you cannot allow a woman to cross your boundaries repeatedly like that. Again. So those are the 3 things that you absolutely have to have in order to have a successful relationship. 1, you have got to have leadership qualities. You've got to bring leadership to the table, and you've got to hold on to that leadership role no matter what. You cannot release the leadership role. I suggest you do some reading on leadership so you have a good understanding of how it applies, and take those lessons and apply them to relationships. They will make a difference. You've got to have strong boundaries. You cannot allow someone to cross your boundaries repeatedly. If you are allowing someone to cross your boundaries, then you are basically telling them that you don't have any self-respect. And if you don't have self-respect, why should they respect you? And then finally, you must be able to say no. You have got to be able to put that, you know, your foot on the ground and say, absolutely not. That is not happening in my life under any circumstances, period. And then you've got to stand by your no. Now, you can do it pleasantly. You don't have to be an asshole. You know, you don't have to be some kind of a tyrant. But you do need to have those 3 characteristics. In fact, you shouldn't be an asshole. You shouldn't be a tyrant. You should be even-keeled. You should be able to approach these things rationally and intelligently and be able to explain why you're making the decisions that you make. A good leader always takes into account the needs of the people that he's leading. And in this case, this is going to be, you know, a woman, your wife. So you need to take those needs into account, but only so far as it matters to the overall health of the relationship. Do you know what I mean? So for example, if she wants to spend a bunch of money on something that doesn't make any sense, and you're saving for retirement, maybe you're saving for something else, and the only way to get what she wants is to tap into those savings, and you realize that the short-term gain of getting whatever it is that she wants is not worth the long-term loss of losing that that safety money, that money that is there set aside in case of a rainy day, whatever, then you must act in the best interest of the organization, the relationship. And that means saving that money, preserving that money. Do not allow your best thoughts, your best intuition, your instincts to get overridden by a woman's emotional demands in the moment. Her fear of missing out is driving a behavior that is transient, it's short term, it's going to end, it's going to go away, and then you're going to be left with empty bank accounts. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this, please share it with them. Until next time, please remember, stay healthy, and if you can, stay single.